Five, four. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to our Financial Empowerment Week. Today we have Joel Solomon, Oscar Capel, and our favorite host, Frank Coppola. He's on the line here with us, and we're going to be just doing a quick summit Q&A with our favorite author, Joel Solomon, and just talk about his books and what he has available for us. So without drawing it out, we'd just like you to like and share this with your friends and loved ones. It's going to be some vital information going out to you today. So you want to make sure that all your friends and loved ones have this information. Also, we want to thank Allstate, Tom Estes for sponsoring our programming for these 2 weeks. And we really appreciate that, Tom. Thank you so much. Please like and share so that we promote our sponsors as well. So without further ado, we're going to go on and Frank, I'm going to turn it over to you from here.
Thank you. Thanks, Philip.
You're
Joe,
welcome.
well, Joe, you gave such a fantastic presentation the other day. I want to say thank you.
And thank you, Frank. Thanks for having me again.
We really got a whole view of what you're about and what you're doing. I just thought I'd kind of throw a couple other questions at you. One would be, what makes you unique?
That's a great question, Frank. I think besides the fact that I talked about this when we started the interview, I really consider myself a really proud dad. And so maybe that's one thing that makes me unique in terms of thinking about how this is going to help the next generation, my kids and other people's kids, because educating people early in their life about money is really, really important, because you learn so much about money, whether you know or not, between the ages of 0 and 10. So another thing that's really unique about me, I would say, is that I'm one of the few people out there that marry the spiritual aspects of money with the process-oriented aspects of money. And in the 9 Money Rules, millionaires use 2/3 of the book I consider spiritual laws, and 1/3 of the book is more process-oriented, how to put these spiritual laws to work in your life so that you can actually take action using them, and using some specific aspects like budgeting. It's a 4-letter word for some, but 80% of millionaires budget, and talking about investing and what processes you can use. I have in my book the 5-step proprietary stock screen. I have a real estate screen that you can use to invest. So it's marrying the two. I think that's really unique about what I teach.
I'm very sorry, but I should have asked the very first question. Why don't you tell people a little bit about who you are and what you do and what your commitment is?
Yeah, so my commitment, and somebody told me yesterday I'm thinking too small. So my commitment is to help at least 100,000 people, and she said it should be at least 1 million. So okay, I'm going to start saying I'm going to help at least 1 million people become financially free. And the way I do that is through coaching them either one-on-one or in group sessions or through video programs. And it's a lot of people will say, okay, well, I just want to get into stocks, like teach me stocks or teach me real estate. I'm like, wait a second, let's start with the basics. What's your mindset? So I really work on mindset first around money. And if you are truly believing that you're an excellent money manager, that lucrative opportunities always come your way, that your mindset and you're set for massive wealth, that you deserve massive wealth, if all those beliefs are there, then great, let's go right in. But most people have some limiting beliefs. And so for me, it's grounding them first, getting a strong foundation, and then moving into all those aspects so that they can become financially free quick. So that's thanks for the question, Frank. That's what I'm all about. Helping people, as many as 1 million, maybe more than 1 million, become financially free, and teach them all aspects about money. So a lot of people were not taught growing up about money. It's just through osmosis, through watching other people, but it's
Sure.
really critical to where you are around money.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you. I mean, that's perfect. So, you must have a lot of people come to you. What's the biggest question that prospective people have around your business?
That's a great question, Frank. So one key item I get is, so how do I shift? I just, I'm just so negative all the time. I'm living paycheck to paycheck. I'm barely making ends meet. How can I ever get out of this? And so there's just specific techniques you can use with affirmations, with audio files that I have on my website. You can download them for free. The website's SALAURMOR.com. So there are specific things you can do every day, saying affirmations, listening to the audio files, thinking about where your belief level is, catching yourself, thinking about your thoughts, because you get to choose your thoughts every day. And I was actually having a conversation with my oldest daughter, who's 16, the other day, and we were talking about how other people had influenced her to feel fear. And I said, but Lauren, you get to choose. It's your choice, right? Every day you have tons of decisions to make, and you can make them in fear, you can make them in faith. And given what's going on right now, I understand a lot of people are living in fear, but that's your choice. You have a choice all day, every day. And so it's the same thing with your money. It's the same thing with your investments. And so it's starting the process of changing the way you think, to know that you were born to thrive. You are not born to just survive in this life, right? You came into this body, into this lifetime, to thrive. When you made the decision, you didn't say, okay, I'm gonna barely make it. It's gonna be the biggest struggle ever, and that's what I'm all about. No, you came here to thrive, and so that's what I teach people. And we can do that. Then that's a big question. It's a big question. Okay, well, I'm really struggling. So do these things. Do a coaching session with me. I give everybody 30 minutes free. So come on, email me. And you can get 30 minutes free. And people do change. Believe it or not, there's one woman who came to me in December. She manifested almost $7,000 after that 30-minute call. So things do shift, and it's just, being a little disciplined, taking some action, and things can change quick.
Well, first of all, I just love what you have to say. And I personally have my own philosophy, but you can forget that philosophy. And being tied in with what you're doing allows me to go back to my commitment to what I want to do, which is to stay healthy, mentally stay healthy. I think that's important. And people around me to be that way. I have another question. What's the largest obstacle that you have to deal with in terms of someone comes into one of your sessions, and of course you want to help them, but what's the biggest obstacle that they would put up to make it difficult for you to help them?
Yeah, it's back to the mindset. I can't do this. I'm not good in math. I don't have the time. All these limiting beliefs that people come with, and they don't even know these are beliefs. They just believe this is truth. This is the truth. But it's starting with, okay, no, that's just a belief. And you were taught that belief that I'm terrible in math or I don't have the time. And it's a belief that's stopping people life of their dreams. So let's change that belief. Let's make it an empowering belief. You know, I am choosing how much time I have. You know, people will spend hundreds and hundreds of hours on an event that lasts 4 hours, which I'm not saying don't do, you know, for a wedding. They'll spend hundreds of hours planning, but they won't spend an hour a week for their, you know, the 30 years that they're not going to be working, or 40 or 50 and sometimes, right? So, you know, just spend an hour a week and know that that time is invaluable. You're going to get massive return on the investment. So I think one of the biggest obstacles for people is these limiting beliefs that they just say, okay, this is truth. This is my life. And that's how it's going to be. As opposed to, wait a second, that's a belief that I have and I can change that. I have, you know, you can say things to yourself. I got plenty of time. I do have, you know, people say to me, Joel, you must be really, really busy. No, I got plenty of time. You know, I got plenty of time from everybody who comes to me, you know, make the time and things just flow. So, you know, it's that changing of the mindset. I got plenty of time. I'm good at math. Talk about in my book, all you need is a 5th grade math education, 5th grade, to be able to be an amazing investor. You need to be able to add, subtract, multiply, and divide. And my kids can do it, and they can be great investors. So if you can add, subtract, multiply, and divide, you can be a great investor.
Fantastic.
It's all these limiting beliefs that are stopping people from living the life of their dreams.
I'd like to jump in for a second. I don't know how good my internet connection is today. It's getting a little shaky.
It's good.
Good.
You know, it's not a coincidence that you're on the Phoenix network, because as you know, we discussed with Phil the first time we met, we are in a situation now that we have to be phoenixes. We have to rise from the ashes. And, you know, I've seen a lot of financial planners and a lot of people, and they're all head centered. They're all money centered. And, you know, this is what you have to do. And you're coming from a heart centered. I mean, I go to your website, like, here's a free thing. Here's a free thing. Here's another free thing. Hey, send me an email. I might send you a free book, you know, and that is, you know, it's a wonderful place to be in, to be able to say, the world is abundant. You need to tap into that abundance, stop with the scarcity mentality. And that's what we've been told. You know, we've been told money doesn't grow on trees. And, you know, yeah, you can't get that. We can't afford that. And, you know, you come along, you know, in your white short, in your white horse saying, put that down, leave that alone. Let's do it this way. And, you know, a much happier way to do it. So I can't wait till I get your first book and then the second book, and follow along, and just basically we do need, and I think COVID did that for us, is like, stop. Whatever we've been doing up to now doesn't work.
I
Want it to
agree
work,
with that.
hit, you know, 180, let's hit something else. Like, people say we want to get back to normal. I don't think that normal served us. The new
Right,
normal is
totally.
going to serve us.
We
So
don't even
it's
know
like,
what getting back to means anymore.
right. That's not, it never served us. So, you know,
Yeah.
Joel is leading the way on the new normal.
Thank you, Oscar.
Thank
Good
you.
input.
Yeah.
Really good.
Thank you, Oscar.
Yeah, that's what I love about your perspective, Joel, is that it's giving people a chance to do an internal check and see how their inside is affecting their outside, you know, as far as, you know, how they think about their life and themselves, and how detached that is from their dream and where they want to be. And I find that that's the biggest issue, is kind of like crossing the bridge from where I am now to where I see myself. And so for some people, it is so far off. It is like an impossible dream. That will never happen. That can never happen. But it's so tied to your, I love the statement you made about doubt your doubt. You know, doubt your doubt. Don't believe in it. You know, because you're the moment you believe in it, you're invested in it. You know, and so
Exactly.
I love that you it's almost like you hit the nail on the head, and you said, you know, doubt your doubt. That connected with me. That connected with me, and I think
Sure.
it connected with a lot of other people.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well said. Well,
Yeah. So I in one of my favorite books, Napoleon Hill, he said, cut out the word impossible. Stop out of the dictionary. Or Wikipedia, because people don't have dictionaries anymore. So just cut it out, right? Because it's just not helping you, right? So cut out the word impossible. And the other thing I want to say is with Oscar's comments that a lot of people have not been living their purpose, right? And they got a job and they said, okay, well, I got to make some money. I have this dream, but that's going to cost me money and I can't do that, or all these limiting beliefs. And they go work for a company and it's 5, 10, 20, 25 years later, still working at the company, barely making ends meet. And, okay, this happens and they get laid off. And it's a shock to the system, but maybe you can think of it from bad things come good things, and from terrible, awful things come amazing, great things.
Yes.
Because you weren't living your purpose, you weren't doing your why. You came here for a reason and you weren't doing it. And maybe, just maybe, this quote unquote terrible event is producing what needs to be done. And I wrote a white paper called The 5 Megatrends Guaranteed to Shape Your Future. And SHAPE is an acronym, and S stands for societal norms, H, health, A for appreciation, believe it or not, but P is purpose. And I talk a lot about purpose and how people are going to find their purpose. I remember when I started working at Citigroup in 2008, it was my dream to be a money manager. It took me 15 years to get there, and I'm living in Westchester. I take the train into Grand Central, which is almost an hour, and then I had to take the subway downtown, crosstown, and then downtown. And I had to be at work by around 7:30. So I'm on the subway before 7 or right at 7. And everyone on that subway train had a scowl on their face. They were really unhappy. Why am I on the subway at 7 a.m. or 6:55 or 7:05? And I'm like checking my BlackBerry with a big smile on my face, living my dream. And I'm like, oh, this is so terrible. Everyone else, I didn't see anyone else smiling. Probably a couple hundred people in this smiling. And I realized, no one's living their purpose. Is it 1%? Is it 0.5%? How many people are really truly loving getting up in the morning and help, like I'm doing, helping people, being of service? I don't think there's a large percentage out there. And it's unfortunate, but hopefully this terrible event will actually create some really good, and people will come together, not only for purpose, but also realizing we're all one. Stop looking at people's skins, and we're all love, right? If you get beyond that, we're all this together, right? Sure. And we should be thinking about the fact that we're all amazing souls coming together to do our purpose.
People have a tendency to forget that for every problem, there must be a solution. Yeah. So even in the midst of the COVID, there's a tremendous opportunity out there. And we just have to live our lives. And as Joel was saying, connect our purpose with the things that people could be using at this particular time.
Yeah, I think that the mind shift now is what can I give instead of what can I get? And you saw it as soon as restaurants got closed down. The first thing they did was put tables outside and say, hey, we have all this extra food, come and take it. They're not even selling it. It's like, just come and take it. And you see food drives all over the place. And,
sure.
And everybody's pitching in to see what they can do to make the next person's life better. Yeah, exactly. As opposed to pre-COVID, it's like, what can I get? How can I get something from somebody? So that shift, and we're due for a shift. We need to evolve to the next level. And, it might have taken COVID to do it.
I'm going to ask a question to the group as a whole, okay? And let's just keep it in the realm of business. What are you most proud of in your business or in your industry? I'm just opening it up. Anybody wants to talk, go ahead.
When you say most proud of, like in what way?
did you accomplish something? Are you looking to move forward in some area? Whatever being proud means to you.
I can start.
Yeah, go ahead, Ramona.
Ramona.
Welcome, Ramona.
Thank you for having me back. So one of the things I'm probably most proud of in my role is just bringing peace of mind to people. Joel kind of touched on this in terms of living your purpose and serving people and thinking about how to help others. And people get stressed around their finances. We talked about this and some of the other webinars that I did, but it just brings a lot of angst and and even with people who have means and resources, there's still angst in terms of managing it or talking about it with their family. And so in some ways I feel like a financial counselor or a counselor or therapist in addition to being a financial advisor, because I create a space where people can really say the things they don't say to other people
Ramona,
and know that it's not going to go anywhere. Like
Ramona,
they can cut. Go ahead. Yep.
I'm sorry. Tell people about what you do.
So I work with people. I do a couple different things. I do comprehensive financial planning, which is one of my favorite things to do. And it's basically taking all the puzzle pieces. If you think about a jigsaw puzzle with like 1,000 different pieces, I help people put the pieces of their financial puzzle, of their financial life together so they can actually see the picture. Again, thinking of a jigsaw puzzle, they can see the whole picture of their lives and how all the different things they do financially fit together. And then I help people put those pieces together in terms of investing or saving. With some clients, it's paying off debt and how to do that in a way that makes sense for them. It's planning for their children's education, their first home, retirement. I work with people of all ages, including retirees, right? The key is they want to make sure they don't outlive their money. I worked this hard. This is what I have. I want to make sure that my money outlives me. So that's what I do with people. And, I had a client say to me recently, in just going through the early discussion around planning, I ask a lot of questions, often questions that other people don't ask and that people don't think about. And she said to me after, I felt like I had stripped naked in front of you. And she would, and I felt bad that she felt that way. She's like, when I was answering the questions, and she's like, but I felt comfortable with you and I'm really ready to move forward. And so part of it, oftentimes when people come to me, there's something they've been struggling with or they've been holding on to, especially women. They've been holding on to something for a while, shame, guilt, a bad decision around money, and just creating that space where they can let it go, right? Just sort of, hey, what you did in the past, you did the best you could with what you had, and now you want to do something different, and let's start from here and move forward. So for me, the thing I'm most proud about is that just building a place of trust and security, like really emotional, mental security, because we make a lot of emotional decisions around our money. So that for me is something that I'm proud of and that I do every day with the people that I work with.
Fantastic. Fantastic. I didn't mean to cut you off before.
No, but I'm glad you did. Thank you. It's okay.
I can go next, Frank. So I guess I'm most proud of getting my books out, writing 2 books, Mindful Money Management and The 9 Money Rules Millionaires Use. It allows everyone in the world, as long as they can read English, to get access to the 9 money rules that millionaires use and actually live a life of abundance and prosperity. So, for me, I'm really proud of all I do is teach. I don't sell any products, well, except the books, but I only teach. So I'm not, selling any type of insurance or annuities or anything. I'm just teaching people how to change their mindset and how they can do it themselves. So I'm really proud that I was able to overcome some limiting beliefs of my own, which was, do I really want to bare my soul and tell my story in these books about how, I was not always abundant and prosperous. I was not always rich. And how did I overcome these limiting beliefs? And, telling some stories that are not so fun to tell, but, I think people need to hear that, you see the end result, but you don't actually see the journey. And hearing and seeing the journey and knowing that, no one's, maybe it's 99% plus, are not born rich, right? So there's a journey that most people take in order to get there, and overcoming limiting beliefs and overcoming obstacles, and actually showing the fear and the pain that I overcame. I think, for me at least, that's what I'm most proud of.
It's fantastic.
I have a question for you, Joel, before you go. I have a quick question for you. It just came to my mind is basically for those people that have hit their mountain, right? Have hit their hump. And, they're in a mindset of, what do I do? What would be the thing you'd say to them as to how to think when they hit that mountain? What kind of mindset, what kind of thoughts should they have toward?
Phil, do you mean when they're really struggling?
Yeah, like you're progressing, right? You feel like you're making headway, but then you hit this thing that says stop, don't go any further. And it's just like, it almost seems impossible to either get through it, over it, around it. It doesn't seem like it's possible. What kind of mindset would you say they need to have when they hit that point?
Yeah, persistence is really important, and never giving up, I think, is really important too, because I don't remember if I told the story yesterday, but when I was about to start my hedge fund in 2012, I had 2 investors that had agreed orally to give me money, right? And so because they orally agreed to give me money, I started working on hiring service providers. I hired a lawyer, an accountant, a fund administrator, an auditor. I hired a prime broker, and I even moved into prime real estate space on 54th and Madison. And I did all this, spent all this money. And then on December 17th, I moved into that real estate space, called up the investors who had orally agreed to give me money, and they both backed out, both of them. Now I don't have a pipeline. I had no potential investors because I thought they had agreed. So I had a big expense with commercial real estate space on 54th and Madison Avenue. I had all these a hedge fund lawyer who was billing me and billing me and billing me. It was a lot of money going out, a lot of cash flow out. And I could have given up, but I talked about acting as if I had the money and having persistence and not giving up on my dream. And, fortunately I had money in the bank that I could, but the money in the bank was going way down. Mm. So, hopefully you have a cushion. One of the things I teach is to have a 3 to 6 month emergency expense account, but it may take some borrowing short term in order to overcome some, this wall that you've hit. And, that's okay, right? If you got to live, right? So
right.
One of the things I teach is, it's okay if you see the light, like, okay, you need to invest in your business, invest in something in order to get to the next level. So right. Yeah, those are the biggest things I would recommend. Acting as if, hashtag doubt the doubt, persistence, and don't give up on your dreams.
The other thing I'd like to add to this is that most people don't consider this, but you cannot do it alone. So you need a coach. You need somebody that's really good at what they do that you want to emulate, and then you work with that person, no matter how fearful that might be. You need a coach. You can't do it alone.
So true.
Yeah, but
Uh,
Joel, you used the word impossible before, and I saw something once that I've done from, I've just changed it a little bit. You just, throw a dash in there and you turn impossible into I'm possible.
Oh, that's
and
fabulous.
and that works a lot better. Um, and again, everything you're doing that I'm seeing, I love it because it is that new. It should be the way we're doing things. We should have done this from the beginning, but best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The best time is now. So you're planting that tree now. Hopefully, it goes out around the world, and we start taking that advice and start giving and be that giving person where it comes back to you. You never know where it's coming back from, but put it out there. Real quick, one thing I'm proud of is learning to fend for myself after I lost a job after 38 years. I could have run back to look for another job, but I said no. I need to make it on my own, and it's been a struggle, and there's a lot of learning to do, and I'm proud of that. And I chose something to do that makes me feel good because I'm not just making a living, I'm making a difference. And you guys know I'm an associate with Legal Shield and ID Shield. And what we do is we put a law firm on your phone and make it affordable. So whatever anywhere from a will to traffic ticket to everything else, having the ability to call your lawyer when you need him or her and get the problem solved is really what I'm seeing, that everything led to this point. So this is something that everyone needs, and my job now is to learn how to market it correctly. So between Legal Shield and ID Shield, where we, restore people's identity, that's, I'm really happy I chose that path.
Fantastic. Fantastic. What are you most proud of, Philip?
well, you know what? I'm doing what I'm most proud of. Even like right now, what you're seeing, I love the fact that we're giving a platform for people to talk about their passion, and it's like, I've never really believed that, money is a motivator. I've never really believed that that can be your big why, because then it becomes this bottomless hole of you never have enough. Whereas when you help people to, pursue their dream and to fulfill their vision, that to me is just more rewarding than any kind of money in the world, because you're leaving a lasting effect. And I learned this from someone very important to me, that it's each person that you affect. That it doesn't matter about the millions. It's like the moment you affect one person, that one person can affect millions of people that you have affected. So it's like Joel, you've probably hit the millions of people already. You just don't know it.
They have to catch up to you now.
Yeah, you've affected that one term you made, doubt your doubt. I mean, that is never going to leave my mind.
That's
right?
Going on a t-shirt.
Yeah, I mean, that's never going to leave my mind. And it's like, I'm sure that there's somebody out there that's grabbing onto that too. Like when my doubt comes, I fight it by doubting it, and believing that I can do what I'm setting out to. So I think those are some powerful things. Investing in people is the biggest thing. And just like you said, this is like when you just see people for being people, there is no color barrier, there is no culture barrier, because I always say that we all feel the same feel. If somebody dies in our family, we feel it. We all feel it the same way. Your wife dies, whether you're Chinese, Japanese, if somebody close to you dies, that pain is the same pain, right? So we all have that in common. And I think that once you focus on that, everybody has a dream. Everybody has this passion that they're like, I feel something inside of me and I don't know how to put it in words. I don't know how to define it. And I feel like Joel's Joel explaining, how to confront these things and how to pursue it, it gives people definition as to say, yeah, that's what I'm feeling, and they can put it into words. And the moment you can define it, you can put it into action.
Terrific.
Yeah.
Joel, when are you going to be on again? I don't want to look like a stalker, but I think I'm going to be a stalker.
Whenever you guys want me, I'd love to be on. I'm here to help people, and being of service to others. Chapter 1 in Mindful Money Management. When I realized that that's my true reason for being here, being of service to others and helping others. And like I said, in 30 minutes, people have been changed. So I also wanted to comment on what Oscar said earlier about the restaurants giving food, because rule number 6 in the 9 money rules is giving. And people don't understand it may be the most powerful rule. It may get you freedom quickest, because when you're giving from the heart, especially when you're giving from the heart, and it's changing your mindset from, poverty and lack to I have plenty to spare and share. So I recommend when you're hitting that wall, actually, Phil, when you hit that wall, give. And it doesn't have to be millions of dollars. Find a cause that really ignites your soul and give $5, $10, $25, $50, whatever it is. Give a small amount, right?
Or give your time. If you don't have the money, give your time. Volunteer. There are people that need help.
Absolutely. Time is just as powerful.
I got to break in here a little bit because Joel's got to be wrapping up. I'm just going to say one thing about myself. I have a tagline that I use all the time, and it's interesting that we're engaged in all this. And Joel just said, my tagline is change your mindset, change your life. So when you do that, things change. So actually they transform, which is even more interesting. Joel, do you have any closing remarks? Because I know you got to get out of here.
Yeah, so thanks again, everybody, for having me. It's really been a pleasure. I want to help more people, so send them my way. If you know anybody who's struggling, 30 minutes free for everybody. You can reach me on my website. I think it's here, but salurmor.com. Reach out to me. I'm here for you. I want to help people. You get the 30 minutes free. If you want to get the white paper I mentioned earlier, the 5 mega trends guaranteed to shape your future, you can just text to the number 66866. That's 66866. It's 9 money rules. So you see the number 9 money rules, all one word. And you'll get that free, powerful white paper about what's going on, changing the world, and how you can be part of that change, changing your health, purpose, appreciation, your energy. It's a powerful white paper. So thanks again for having me. I really appreciate all of you, and thank you.
Thank you
so
Joel.
much. Thank you, Joel. Now we're going to welcome Ramona Thomas, who has been a speaker all week. She's talking about personal finance, managing your cash flow, and just kind of securing your family for the future. And we want to welcome her right now. Ramona, it's good to have you.
Thanks for having me.
No problem. So we all want to really learn more about how to manage our finances. And you brought out some really great points that we want to kind of review and go over, and just so the folks that are watching can see how important it is. So one of the factors I want to ask you about is like personal finance, right? What is the proper mindset towards your personal finances, your income?
Think of it like a bull. Like you've heard a lot about the bull market. Like you just got to charge it. You got to really take charge of it. And face it, deal with it. And I would say be consistent, like create the way you have habits in other areas of your life. You have personal habits, you have professional habits, you need financial habits, in terms of looking over your statements. I talked about the importance of using a budget, like creating really strong financial habits is an important part of your mindset. And diligence, just once you set a goal, do the same way you do with your business, the same way you do with your family or relationship. Honor the goals that you set and the commitments that you make to your finances.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. That is really a great way to kind of like approach that. But for that person that is like younger, they think that the world is, is open to them, and they're, well, I don't really have to save right now. I really don't have to, think about my future. What do you say to that young person that's out there that's really trying to figure out what to do with their finances next?
Coronavirus. I mean, no, seriously, for people who don't think they have to think about their future, it doesn't really matter what age you are. Anything could happen. And I think that's something this virus has taught us, that anything can happen. And the fact that it's global, to me, it's been really fascinating to see how we're connected globally through a virus. And it's really horrible that it took a virus for many of us to see how connected we are, to other people around the world. So for those of you that, if you're young, I'm not saying deprive yourself. I'm not of that mindset at all. Like, I think, life is very short. The years go really fast. Trust me, those of you in your 20s, you take a nap, you're going to be in your 30s, and before you know it, 40s and 50s are here. So I don't subscribe to a deprive yourself mindset, but I think it is important to plan and to have a nest egg and to just be prepared for the unexpected. And that's what I think the coronavirus has showed us, for people who thought they could put it off, like having the emergency fund that Joel talked about, that I talked about a few days ago. It's just always better to be prepared and not need it than to not be prepared and don't have it.
Yeah.
That's actually my tagline. Thank you. That's
I didn't know that.
Before we move on, Frank, I just want to thank you before you get off the line. I really, really appreciate you coming on, and you and Joel being able to just share with our audience what you guys offer as a service. Everyone, Frank is going to be on next week, so you don't want to miss it. He's going to talk about how to build a business you love. And the biggest thing that most of us fight, procrastination. How to defeat your procrastination. Frank is going to really teach us how to do that. So you don't want to miss that. And we thank you for just sharing your gifts with us, Frank. Really appreciate it.
Thank you so very much. I'm sorry that I got to jump off, but I've got something else I got to be running to. But next week, I'm looking forward to build a business you love, so that you can be financially free and double your income in less than 6 months.
Frank, I'm sorry. Frank, I started an anti-procrastination club about 4 years ago. We still haven't met.
Yeah, it's important to just keep it in the flow. Take care, everybody. I appreciate every one of you. Bye-bye.
Bye, Frank. Now, yes, Ramona, listen, I think this is such an interesting subject and so relevant. And so I'm really glad, again, that we have you here on the program. And of course, with Oscar.
Again, who wants to look at us when Ramona's here? Come on.
So yeah, Ramona, like you just gave us a vital answer for our young people that will listen to this program, which we are going to be putting through to so many different venues because it's such an important message. So I wanted to make sure that my questions are like very specific and precise. What do you say to those? We talked about like securing your like financial future, as in the sense of just leaving a legacy, right? And we talked about that. But there's a question that I had asked, and what kind of age do you start thinking about, doing that? Is there like a certain age group that falls into that you should start developing that mindset?
The mindset of saving or the mindset of the
The
legacy?
mindset of like, like talking about, if I should not be here, what should be put in place?
At any age. I certainly, if you have children,
Mm.
I mean, when I say any age, it's certainly adults. I wouldn't expect a teenager, to
Right.
go to his or her parents. But if you're parents, you certainly want to talk to those who you might need or want to look after your children. And then maybe when your children get to a certain age, 16, 18, have that conversation with them. So certainly adults. If you're an adult dealing with children or adult dealing with adults, I think any age, today.
Today. Yeah,
Yeah.
because I mean, I'm thinking about, I was watching the news and they were talking about how, between 18 and like 21-year-olds are being affected by COVID. And, they're young people who are actually dying from this disease, right? And it's like, I was thinking about it just after our conversation that, I mean, it should be where at this point, everybody should be thinking about.
Yeah, absolutely.
I just felt it's like, you don't know. You really
Yeah.
have no clue, when your time is up.
You don't.
So,
You
yeah,
don't. I know there are families that when children go off to college, they will have their, 18-year-old do a healthcare directive, in case the student gets sick or something on campus or when they come home. A lot of families don't do it, but that's a great time. Like 18, your child's going away. That's a great time to have that conversation. 16 may feel young, but just depending on the maturity of the 16-year-old, certain your oldest, if you have multiple children, your child gets between 16 and 18, might be a great time to have that conversation, especially if the expectation is that something happens to you and your spouse, your partner, is that the oldest child will look after the younger siblings. So much of it's going to depend on the family composition. But 18 is definitely a good age, adults. And you're right, in this era of the pandemic, it's certainly striking young people more than we were hearing about earlier
that's
in the
it.
pandemic.
I think
You
it's
know,
it's important for the parents, when you get married, when you have your first kid, now you start, okay, well, what am I going to do? How am I going to leave a legacy for my kids? And I think as a parent, you should be teaching this to your children when they're very young. And then when they're 16, 17, 18, it's not going to be a new subject. And if I had to do it over again, I would be teaching, listen, you need to save, you need to do this, get all of these things in place, because, and now it's easy because you said COVID, get these things in place because look what happened. So that is a conversation everyone should be having with their children, no matter what age. But at 16, 17, 18, they'll understand it more, they'll be able to put it together. But what we talked about yesterday is a cheap plug for our talk yesterday that we did.
yeah, yeah,
Who gets these ideas in your head when you're 7 years old? Your personality is built by 7 years old. So before your child is 7, have that in their head that you will be an adult, you will be responsible. These are the things that need to be in place when you're an adult. So it's not a surprise. I mean, my generation, we found out, after the fact, oh, by the way, you should be saving. Like, oh, thanks. Now you tell me,
I found out after college.
Right.
Okay. After they presented to me, several different ways of getting a credit card.
Yes, the credit card.
And I applied for all 7. That's when I realized credit report. You mean there's such a thing as a credit report? Oh yeah, payback. You mean I have to pay this money back? Yeah.
I remember that they hand out your diploma and an application for credit in the same paper at the bottom.
I would say too, I mean, there are things that families can do together. You can, like Oscar said, you can work with your children and explain to them. I mean, I think there are certain things I remember my mom doing. She did a budget on the back of an envelope. She
Really?
still does paper, but I just remember the process of her doing that, like just making sure that she, everything was paid. And, just there were certain things that I saw her do. I mean, she didn't talk about money a lot, but I know like she paid everything on time. Like there were just certain habits that she had, and some of them, I adopted, and then, you learn more. So there's certainly things that you can do with your children, teach them about saving, teach them about giving. If you're giving in your church or you're volunteering or giving to the ASPCA, share that with your children. Let them know if you're, other things like that. So you can teach your children, even when you get them chores, if you're paying them for chores or if they get paid for babysitting or tutoring, you can start creating those money habits young, right? Okay, we're going to put, X in this envelope. You don't have to, you can do bank accounts, but you can do envelopes, or you could do piggy banks, or you can do other ways of saving, right? So we're going to put, X amount in this envelope for savings. We're going to put X amount in this for you to get that new video game you want, or the new pair of shoes that you want. And we're going to put X in this envelope because we're going to give to the local, charity, or, so there are certain things that you can do, and they don't have to be complicated. But I think sitting down, with children and doing that early, it's never too early. And it's something you do as a family.
There's another, again, things you can do as a family. Board games. Board games are, you sit around with the family, you play Monopoly and use that as a teaching experience. 3 green, 4 green houses is a red house. And whenever somebody comes by, they have to pay you. So, what I think Mark Twain said, never let a formal education get in the way of your learning. You're not going to learn this in school. You're not going to learn money management. You're not going to learn wealth building. You're going to learn to be a good student and a good employee and pay your taxes and let the government spend it any way they want. But, the education that we need to do on how wealth is created is something we're learning on our own. I've followed Robert Kiyosaki after I lost my job. I think he just put a board game together called Cash Flow. So you can play that with your kids and learn how money flows.
See, but but I'm sorry, you said something and I didn't want to forget it, Oscar. You went quickly over it, but again, not to get really political on this, but the fact that we pay our taxes, I want to remind America, because guess what? This is the land of the free, home of the brave, we say, right? You pay taxes because when you vote people in, they're accountable to the people. When we forget that, it's like, they don't get to do what they want to do if the people see where money is being mismanaged. And I'm just going to say this for knowledge sake. If you think your government is not managing the money properly, you need to write your governor, you need to write your mayor, you need to write write a letter to whomever is in power, because our tax dollars is really what's paying for everything else. Right. It's we're funding the government. So we need to, if you have a voice, use it. And use your voice in that area. I just wanted to touch that for a second.
Oh yeah. That's also something we need to talk about. That could be one of our corner talks.
Yeah.
And it's just, who are you electing? Or when did public servants forget that they're public servants? When did the servant become the master, and why did we give up that power? So, it all comes full circle. And again, after COVID, what's going on? Why is this normal? Start asking questions.
Exactly. But we don't want to get off course. We'll save that for focus on you.
Yes. And real quick, taking full responsibility. Here's a fun book: 7 Legal Ways of Not Paying Taxes. All right, that's available for us. Legal, and the first one is start your own business. This country was built on small business owners. So the tax codes favor people that have a business. That's the first thing that you learn, without formal education. Damn, I need to start a side hustle so I can get some of that money back. So,
Yes.
you know, you can buy a $30,000 car or a $30,000 truck. That $30,000 truck is an asset. Your $30,000 car is a liability. When you learn those words, assets and liabilities, income, and all of that, it all starts to make sense. But you're not going to learn it in school. We have to be proactive and learn wealth creation. Just Google how to create wealth, and there's billions of ways of doing it. But you know, just get educated.
So now, you know, what I wanted the last question I have for you, Ramona, and this is going to be a very comprised question, right? Didn't mean to break away from the subject, guys, but the last question I wanted to talk about was cash flow, because that's it's like, I think that was a great coverage. It was you kept it very nice and neat, but how would a common person, what would be the steps for the common person to apply that to their everyday thinking? You know, just in their life right now, what would be like a practical view or concept that you could throw out there for those who are listening?
So when you mean to help people improve their cash flow, or just
Yes,
understand it better, or using it every day?
Everything that you just said, everything.
Okay. So
Yeah.
think
all of the above.
So cash flow, two things. It's going to measure your income, everything you're bringing in. That can be salary, that can be your side hustle. If you pay yourself through your business, it can be interest. If you have any accounts bearing interest, it can be your unemployment check. It's any money coming in. That's one part. The other part is what's going out. So literally it's what comes in. The other part is what's going out. And the key to managing your cash flow is you want more to come in than what's going out. And seriously, that is the key. So that means you have money left over that, again, I'm always going to advise people to save or invest depending on your situation. But when you have more money going out than what's coming in, that's where people feel financially strapped, or it's tight, or stressed. That's where people start relying on credit cards. Hey, I'm just going to charge my cable bill this month. I'm going to charge my cell phone bill this month. I'm going to, put all our groceries, $400-$500 groceries on the Visa, whatever, and I'll get to it. But if you don't manage that cash flow, then the next month you're doing the same thing, paying the minimum payment. So the key is to make sure, that you're spending less than you're bringing in. And for some people, that's really hard. Because if your expenses are fixed, if you're in a lease, you're in a mortgage, you're in a car payment, you can't really just say, hey, I don't want to pay you this month, or, whatever.
Right.
And so I don't, when I did that session, I talked about your lifestyle expenses, and I talked about how you can think about them like a rubber band. So if you're in a situation where you need to cut your expenses, think about your lifestyle expenses. Do you need that fancy cell phone, the fancy designer bag, the fancy car, especially now during a pandemic? Are there ways where you can really cut, some of those expenses? So I think the key with the cash flow is you got to look at it. And I talked about that with, budgeting and stuff. Really track what you're spending and do it regularly. I said this earlier, just creating those financial habits. The same way we have other habits, we have personal habits, we have professional habits, we have work habits, workout, whatever it is, create financial habits where you're really looking at your data at minimum once a month. Some people do it every week. Some people do it every time you get paid. I think you have to decide what makes sense for you. For me, I look every other day. And sometimes every day. I mean, we have the apps on our phone.
Right.
You can look, you're looking at your balances on your phone. If this check hit, if you're still writing checks, or if that payment cleared or whatever. So the more you're on top of it, the better you feel about your financial situation, because and then you can make adjustments. And that's obviously going to be easier for people who are working, who have an income. If you don't, then that gets harder, but at least you know what it is that you need to do.
So you're saying I
Um,
shouldn't wait till April 14th to see what's going on?
No. I mean, if you have a bookkeeper, some people, have a bookkeeper, someone who handles that for them and prepares statements at the end of the month. That just depends on your comfort level. It's not something I would recommend. I think it's all, especially if you run a business, you always need to be on top of your finances.
I just wanted to see Ramona's hair stand up on the back of her neck when I said that.
No,
you know what? I really do appreciate that. You're such a giver. I think you are really not.
thank you.
You don't really hold on and restrain. You share your information, and that's just a sign of a great giver. I really appreciate that, Ramona. I hope we're able to get you again sometime in the future, because I know you're really busy.
Absolutely. It's
You know.
absolutely. Thank you.
And so,
Thank you.
it's a great thing to empower people with the right information. You're going to hear that a lot from me. You're going to hear that a lot because there is good information, there's bad information, and there's right information, right? So when you've learned how to really apply these things, I think it's very powerful and it's life changing. So this is why Phoenix National is doing this. We are a group of entrepreneurs that are motivated in changing lives. We're motivated about it. So if you're if you want to be a sponsor for our program, give me a call, 914-297 Phoenix National Business Group, PNBG. That's 7624. That's 914-297-7624. Or you can visit my website at phillipreed.org and just let me know, reach out to me. Let me know if you want to be a sponsor for these programmings. Again, we are about empowering people, making them stronger, wiser, and more effective in their personal and business life. So next week, not next week, coming up today, we're going to be talking about the power of video marketing. And also at 3:00, Better Credit, Better Life with Dwayne Reed at 3 p.m. today. You don't want to miss that. We had a little fumble yesterday with his session, but he will be on today. So tune in at 3 p.m. For Better Credit, Better Life with Dwayne Reed. And he'll tell you just how to improve your credit so you can improve your lifestyle. Everybody kind of checks your credit nowadays, right? So we're looking forward to that. And that would be it for today. Next week, if you own a business or you're thinking of owning a business, you want to tune into the programming next week. We have a great person coming on, Glenroy Richards. He's an accountant, and he's going to walk you through all the things your accountant needs to tell you about running your business. Oh man, listen, you if you have a business or you're thinking of having a business, you don't want to miss those sessions because it's vital. Knowing your numbers and knowing where your money is taking you is very important. So you don't want to miss that. Also, Frank Coppola is going to be back next week, and he's going to be talking about building a business you love. Everyone out there that is seeking to start your own business, you don't want to miss those. The flyers are all over the internet, so you just have to go to Phoenix National Business Group Facebook page, or you go to phillipreed.org, and you will see all this information out there. We're going to make sure that we post Ramona's information, Oscar's information on the site. Every program will be on phillipreed.org, and you can find the link to their information as well. So stay tuned. We're going to be live. These programs are going to be repeated over and over and over again, just until everybody gets it, right?
We hit that million mark for Joel.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, listen, I'm going to be very frank with everyone. You might be receiving this information free, but it's not free information. So you really do need to share this. Most of this information, you would have to pay hundreds of dollars to enter into some webinar or seminar to get it. And so we can't guarantee that it will be free all the time. So if you don't sponsor us, if you don't support us, then eventually you may have to start paying for it. So we thank God for our sponsor, Tom Estes at Allstate. Thank you for sponsoring our programs so that it can be available to everyone that's watching right now. All right, everyone, take care. We will see you at 1:30 for the power of video marketing. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.